Oh, sorry, who is host? I mean, could someone please promote me to host so I can take over the webinar? It must be Linda or Claire or I don't know. Someone here is host and I cannot access the host disabled attendee screen sharing. So I'm not host. That's not so good.
Well, it's not me.
I mean, there's two. Yeah, but I mean, there's two Zoom. So one is me, and then you have someone has recording. So I mean, who's logged in with the Zoom login? Wordapper login. You need to log out. I mean, it's only two people here. It's one that is recording.
Okay. I'll log out and log back in again.
But don't log in. Why are you logging in with the Zoom login? You should log in from the register link. Yeah, this is good.
Well, I could just
Now there's another host. So whoever this is needs to also log out. Whoever has logged in as Zoom Wordapper, you need to log out, please. So I hope I am that now. Yep. So, okay, and then I have Björn. This is really funky. Okay. Björn, you should be a panelist now, I think. Björn, you're a panelist, right?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you. The webcam is working. All is good.
Yes. So welcome, guys. So what happened is that we have, I mean, Jörn and Linda and Claire and Sanna and tons of people, they are using Zoom to do webinars, and you can only be one host in a webinar. So if they, in this case, I managed to log in late, and therefore someone else took over the host role. So sorry about that, but I think we will get it under control now. So here I did a QR code with a great webinar that Claire and Jörn just did it for the English badges. So I'm not going to repeat what the badges are. I think they do a better job with it. And you can also watch my previous webinars if you're curious about that. So I will go just to the point. Today I've been out in meetings and doing labels and tons of stuff. So it will be a bit ad hoc. So I will try to review sites like I always do, and we are going to put up 500 clinic reviews of about 700 words. So I wanted to explain a bit how we do that, and there will be some pointers on how to write them. And if you're batch 3 in Swedish, English, Norwegian, Danish, did I say Finnish? I don't know. You will have close to, I mean, unlimited tasks there for a while. So I think this will interest you. And then I will also go through one thing that is easy to miss, which is the purpose of a website. It is to make money somehow. I will explain that a bit later. A bit about keyword research for headers. And this is intended for EVAs that are placing orders. Explain a bit the SEO part and browsing of a text, but also, I mean, browsing of a text is typically you scan a text when you go to a web page. Therefore, the headers always have to be really good. It's one of, except metas, which you by now know that I'm a bit fanatical about. Headers are probably the second most important part. And if the Eva does good pre-processing, it makes the writer's job way easier also, because you kind of give direction on what you should write about in each section. I don't think I will have time to do internal links. That was the ambition, but I can briefly talk about it. FAQs, and then we will have a Q&A at the end. So here to the left, so the topic here is, I mean, I want to talk a bit about internal links and SEO here. So Guitar Heroes here is one of the sites that someone did, and I think it's pretty good. It is, I mean, it is pretty good because it's ranking number 32 on Guitar Heroes in FE. However, when I checked the site, I kind of found, I mean, it's a good example to see what, how important it is with the keyword research or the topic of the site when you set it up. So this site here is about some Elvis Presley and some guys that are really good. I mean, guitar players. So you have Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Bill Haley, Chuck Berry. I mean, it's obviously new sites. It's the start. However, I right away saw a problem here. And the problem is that if I go to, this is Osman, never mind that. And I search in just any language. Guitar Heroes is also a game, and the game has tons of searches. If the keyword research had been done properly here, there would be no way that there would not be a text about the game. And because, I mean, that is Guitar Heroes. We obviously want to rank for it, and it's something that is incredibly relevant for this. So the way you would do that is probably write, even if the topic here is more about like real artists, the digital part would probably be a static page here, and then an internal link saying Guitar Hero, the game, or something somewhere from here. So whoever built this site, please take a note and then try to address that. I think it's kind of important that we have that in this one when we build it. So let's, Sanna, I mean, it's finished, so please take a note and put that up early next week or even tomorrow. That said, I think it's a good site. And then I wanted to do a bit of a review of 2 badge 4 graduates. The first one is Emmy, and Emmy has built, I have no idea what this means. I typically check if it's ranking, which it is. Yeah, this is just, I just added it. So we forgot to add the keywords when we did the setup, but maybe it finished just today. So that can be the reason. So obviously the main keyword is not ranking, and this Summelainen popmusik. Well, let me search for it. So let's go to the page. Where is that? Desktop. Okay, so if I go here now, I will see that we are, so it looks like a pretty good meta. It's getting cut off here. I don't know really why. We should, it might be that Google is still deciding what the meta should be. One thing that I saw here when I checked it was that this, even if I don't know what it means, it looked weird to me. And it looked weird because it had this hyphen in between. So what I did right away, I know it's not easy when you're badge 4 because you don't have access to keyword tool IO that we're using, the paid version. But if I check this keyword here, it has 0 searches. In general, So where's the site? It's Guitar Heroes. Yeah, right. Yeah. So in general, the static pages here on top, except the blog, should always have searches. You cannot build a static page without searches. Fortunately, the Summalainen pop music, if I go to that page, it actually has searches. So this must be Summalainen, it's like Swedish pop music. No, Finnish pop music. Yeah, Finnish pop music, I guess. Rutsi, I think, is Swedish or something like that. So this one has searches, and 90 of them, and there we're ranking, so it's all good. So that is kind of important. Let's try to improve that, because there's no point in building a site that doesn't get any traffic. I mean, that's a useless site. And our job is to build technically correct pages about something that people are actually interested in. So if I go back to that, then we have a really good site here. I love it. It's built by Leslie, and it is, first of all, ranking amazingly. I mean, this here, never mind the searches, I just added them. Again, there must be something wrong in our process. Guys, when you have to add the keywords to serve. I mean, minimum 1 keyword and 2, otherwise we don't see if the site has traction. So please figure that out, whatever is we need to do there. So anyway, here, it's ranking really good. So it's originally it's a White House pub. I mean, it was a pub, but the site here now has become something really cool. So it's we're ranking number 1, your global guide to dazzling buildings, and it is different White Houses in the world, and I had no idea about this, but apparently, I wonder where I saw this. I saw it here, the history of the White House. Apparently there's a White House in Ireland. Anyway, I mean, it's ranking fantastically good. It's a funny site. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this site will end up as. I mean, I think we can probably write and work with a lot of mini White House. This was the one. So apparently there's a mini White House in Ireland. Pretty cool. Okay, good job, Leslie. I have nothing to say on that site. I think it's great and it's very creative. So fantastic job. Back to the insight of this month, which is the purpose of a site. So the purpose of White House, it's more informational, and with time we will try to make some money on commercial. But so there is some value, and in this case it's fun. But generally, when we build a website, there's a money site, when we call it that. So we have informational sites, which is White House, and then we have transaction sites, which are Amazon.com. You go and you buy a product or a service. I mean, they have videos and music and all kinds of stuff. Or there's a site about the game, Guitar Heroes. You play the game, or you buy the game, or sign up for the game. You sign up for a newsletter, maybe. There's an informational thing, like if you put up an FAQ or instructions on how to, like, I don't know, like to open a washing machine. Happened to me that somehow the water got cut for something and it shut down, and then I had to go to YouTube and figure out how it's done. So apparently, obviously, because I went to YouTube, I didn't have to call, in this case, Bosch, and sit in their support with someone for 1 hour. It was pretty easy. Also, it was like an old mother that explained how to do it. I mean, old Tese, I would say. And then in our case, we're mostly doing lead sites or affiliate sites. So, and a lead site, if you take hairline transplantation, for example, we have done this fantastic meta there, and we're ranking number 1 on hairline transplantation. And also the changes we did in the meta, Arena Med Clinic review is now number 3. So that's pretty good. The reason why the reviews is not ranking is because it lacks a text. We will address that later. But if I go to the site here, so let me go to the desktop version. Let's see how this looks. So save an offer starting from one. This looks pretty good, actually. It's pretty clear what we want the user to do here. We want them to get the report and get best offers. And what I see that a lot of writers do is that before they start, it doesn't matter if you do a setup of a site in the White House, that example, clear that Leslie has really thought it through, checked the keywords, amazing concept, funny, informational, and it's like you want to go back there and like check out interesting White Houses. We obviously learned that there's a White House in Ireland. In this case here, the user, I mean, what the site owners, in this case us, what we want to do is we want to get a lead of a guy that wants to have an offer for a hair transplantation, and he can save on the offers as low as 1,100. So a clinic review, if we're investing money in writing those, let's see, we're rewriting ASMED now. Let's see how that the current version looks. So yeah, I mean, so ASMED review, what we found, vouchers. I mean, this is not a good review. I mean, it doesn't, I don't learn anything from this one. So if I go to keyword tool, IO, I need to close down a couple of tabs here. Sorry about that, but I get super confused otherwise. Okay, then let's see what happens if we say ASMED hair. I mean, so when we wrote those reviews, I think the writers had pretty free hands to do it, so they're not consistent, and unfortunately they didn't know how to structure it carefully, and that's why I'm addressing here now. So that's it's not easy to know. So ASMED here, you see here that like, okay, so 480 searches for that. Then you have ASMED hair transplant. You have ASMED hair transplant center. You have ASMED hair transplant cost. And then you go down here. And this is what people are searching for, which is also what the text needs to be about. And if you, so if we go in here, we have done 2 examples now on, I mean, of different texts. But first I want to show, like, I mean, H1 is the most important header. H2 is second. And so H1, it should explain to the spider, Google, where am I in the correct place or not? And then it needs to, I mean, no, it should tell what the site is. Someone ringing at the door, sorry guys. And it should also explain to the user, like they have Googled something, they end up on the site, they need to right away see that it's about ASMED hair transplant center. Then the H2 should be, you browse the site. So if I'm here and I'm, I mean, if people are searching for transplant cost, Dr. Koray Erdogan, reviews, results, fiat, restoration, all of this stuff, we must have that in the text. I mean, otherwise, because they will be searching for one of these keywords and they will probably want to find it very fast. And H2s are typically to answer questions. So in Wordapper, when we do a template, so we have 2 types of text. We have texts that are like hero content, you write 3,000 words, you don't really mass produce it. And then we have clinics, and these clinics, they are, I mean, the questions are going to be more or less the same. It's going to be price, it's going to be location, it's going to be before and after images. So if you just spend a bit time on structuring the text, you can actually do a template. And this is one of the powers of Wordapper, that is that we can, we write the text offline. If we like it, we can start attaching rules to it and then build a template where, when we're happy with the text, where in this case, we have some work left, and then pre-process the headers, and then we can upload them in the task feed, and then anyone that has the badge, in this case badge 3, can start writing them. So I will go here and show now. So we did one example of an offline text here, and there is some work. I mean, there was not a good brief, maybe, or something, but so the headers now, I pre-processed those. So the headers here is that the H1 is ASMED Center Clinic Review, because that has the most searches, and it's also what this page is about. And then it needs a summary, which it has. In this case here, it is, so when you write a review, you have to think the economist. You have to write pros and cons. You cannot, your job is not to sell it. This is not a commercial. This is a review where you, the writer, you have to find what is great about the clinic, what is bad, or, I mean, and like make a summary to the user. And it has to come very early. And in this case here, we have lists, and it's also mixing pro and cons. So, for example, ASMED, they're like 2.7 USD per graft. So it costs $8,000 to make a hair transplant at this place, which is kind of 4 times more expensive than another premium version. And they also only do 3,000 grafts. So if you need 5,000 grafts, you're pretty bold, then you have to come twice. So this not being mentioned here, so you have influencer clinic, it's at standard, yes, true, he's doing a lot of lecturing, he's very involved in the community, but I mean, he's also expensive as hell. And if that is not like explained here, I don't think that's a good review. So, and then before and after results, I mean, here, obviously you need to add pictures, and we don't want, I mean, we don't want to, so here it's just like, pictures as well as YouTube videos are available to review the before and after images. I mean, it's like, of course, we don't want to send them to YouTube. We want the guy to be on our site and fill in the lead. So the purpose of the site here is for them to fill in the form, and so we can quote it to ASMED and different guys. That's how we make money. That's what financed the writing of this text. So this is totally off, and I mean, totally misunderstood. Here is just, I marked this in blue because this should be an internal link. I will cover it in the next webinar. We don't have time for it today. Then there's some cool header here for innovation at ASMED Hair Center. Then you have ASMED Hair Transplant Cost and Price. And here it's like, so it can be frustrating, and this is just gibberish. On average here, but like, so here it needs to be repeated, because the guy is not going to read the summary. He's going to browse here, and he needs to see, like, I mean, a point list or something where, I mean, this is 4 times more expensive than a normal clinic in Turkey. You're going to get a great result, but not everybody can afford 8,000 euro. And I mean, there are all alternatives, and isn't that the reason why you should fill out the form? And then what is included in a hair transplant package from ASMED Hair Center? This is not a text, so this is kind of needs to be much better. I mean, you need to write the text here. We cannot do a template about this or anything. Then you have optional costs. I mean, if you Google optional costs, let's do that. I mean, this is not the good header. I mean, optional product, I mean, it has nothing to do with the review, so we can't do that. I know this is like, I mean, maybe it's like a bit harsh now to whoever wrote this, but I mean, this is not the intent. The intent here is that, like, I mean, when you write this kind of things, you actually have to sit down and structure it. And then once you have done the structure, you can mass produce it. So this kind of thing I'm allergic against, like optional costs. It's a header, it has no purpose. It is the same here in this one. It's like meta description, the clinic where art meets science. Who cares? I mean, this is not a USP. It has no value. This takes space in a very limited 250 character thing. We should add something that is way more interesting. And mega sessions is the same thing. I mean, this doesn't add anything. It should be get a free quote, compare prices, compare destinations. That's what we want to do with the. I mean, that's what the user, what we want the user or present to the user should they come to our site. And here is like, I mean, so if you're looking at the best price for a hair transplant procedure in Istanbul, contact us. We can provide you with full inclusive package to the clinic of your choice. Well, we actually produce offers from several clinics and a free hair loss report. I mean, that is like the purpose of the site. So if you go to the site here, double the graphs, up to 75% cheaper, best price calculator. And if I go here to that one, it kind of explains what. So compare hair transplant cost starting from 1,100. So the text in Wordapper. When you write the texts in Wordapper, the output of this is that they're not going to get approved. And in 2005, you could write a text that was basically a lot of empty fillers with keywords. You would rank. Nowadays, if you don't write a good text that is actually useful, you get just thrown out. So there's no point in filling it with useless information just to fill the text, although you get paid per word. So it has to be short, and it has to be what the site is about. You cannot just invent stuff, or you have to actually study the site before you write. Asmet for done by Koray Erdogan, okay, obviously, and then you can explain what it is. And he has 6 other doctors. I think this is, and he has a robot. And if you want to, okay, that's for extra. The question is how much extra? We don't know that. Asmer hair transplant locations. This is a bit too short, I think. It's on an Anatolian side of Istanbul. How far is it from the other airport? It's also located in Turkey, actually. So, I mean, Asmer Hair Center locations in Istanbul, Turkey should probably be the header. Then you have clinic certifications. And then Asmer on Instagram. On Instagram, it's okay to link to Instagram. And here is the, I mean, these ones are good, I think, but this text needs some work. And the main problem, I think, is misunderstanding what hairline transplant Turkey is about, and then maybe a bit unclear on what the purpose of the text is. And I think it's, if you read a review, or if I read a review, I want to know the pros and cons from someone that actually spent time on it. That's the purpose of it. I think that is that for this. So I think, I mean, we're rolling out the badges now. So in Finnish, there's 10 people on badge 4. Swedish, Helena's done a great job there. I think there's 5 people now taking badge 4. English, there were 15 people on the webinar today. We're doing some extra webinars there. We have enormous amount of work. If you log into the app and you're English or Swedish or Finnish or Norwegian, you will see tons of tasks there. And we're rolling out all of this badges as fast as we can. But yeah, it's a lot of work. And right now we're focused on you guys that have passed badge 2 and 3 to try to get you over to badge 4. So I think I will leave it at that. Here you have the names. By now you see it in other webinars and of course our YouTube channel. You just contact these people if you want to take the badge. Yeah, and then I'm always repeating this. Unfortunately, seeing a lot of people, I mean, not a lot of people, but some people that just jump to it. And I mean, I understand that you want to make money, and this is, you see all the text in the app now, and you know that there's sites to build, but we are financing this. We're paying you to take the test, but we unfortunately don't have money for unlimited tests, because this costs time, and people are running webinars and stuff like that. So we need to, you only have one shot. So all of this, including my webinar now, and the webinar that Claire and Jörn ran a couple of hours ago, and all the writing webinars, the purpose of it is for you to succeed. But it might be that if you're not a very experienced writer, you might have to watch a couple of webinars, ask the EVAs for some advice, do the first batch, and then write a couple of blog posts, maybe 10, and then take the second batch. So think of it a bit of like martial arts training. If you think about like that, I've been doing a lot of martial arts, and it's usually, or it's always, the trainer that says, you're ready to grade. And then you typically pass. And you could probably do it in another way, but then you have to be a real talent. But the teacher is going to tell you. So ask the EVAs for their advice. I mean, Sanna or Helene or Claire and Jörn and Thomas, I mean, if you ask them and say, do you think my text is good enough? Can I become a batch 3 writer? They will probably tell you, and then you don't need to waste your like 55, 60 points, and then they will take ages to complete those. So that said, do you guys have any questions? Where the hell is this going? So, okay, do you have any questions? Then please shoot. And sorry a bit for the unstructured webinar. I will open the chat here and see if there's any questions. No, that's not it. Okay, so joining, are there any questions? Yeah, don't be shy, exactly. Okay, amazing. So then we're almost on time. So if there's no questions, then, okay, so there are some questions. Okay, so John is asking, I've been trying to get 8 reward points to try and attempt the test again, but I've not been lucky enough. You have to do surveys, or you could be creative. That's how SEO works if you want to be in this industry, and you could link to one of our sites, and then we have a budget to, I mean, on a blog post or something, I don't know, like someone you know that has a blog, write an article about one of our hair sites or whatever, and then we can reward you reward points. But you unfortunately not getting a second chance if you failed it. That's why fortunately 8 reward points won't take forever to do, so you can make those points. But yeah, moral of stories, prepare next time. No, Samuel, no, you don't get points for attending meetings, because you get them for free instead when you try to take the batch. So there's like attending a meeting is the purpose of that is yeah, I mean the purpose of you is that you learn some stuff, but you're not going to get points for it now. Okay, I think I'll leave 1 more minute or 30 more seconds for if someone is right. Okay, thank you, Samuel. One way, by the way, I mean, I'm mentioning that, so it's not a zero-sum game here. If you know any great writer and you recommend them to us, but they have to be great though, like, so we want to fast track them. They can be in German, they can be in English, they can be that would want to become an EVA and has a lot of experience, you will get rewards if they manage to pass batch 4. I can promise you that. So you can just reach out to your whoever the EVA is and recommend them. But it needs to be like, they will get a test from us and we will see if they can write pay test, tricky offline text or something like that. And if they write it good, Claire did that, for example, then they will get fast-tracked. So that's one way of doing it. Guys, have a nice evening, and I hope to see you guys passing some badges next week. Tomorrow we'll put the clinic, the first clinic reviews in the app. So for you who are batch 3, you will have plenty of work to do, and there's tons of batch 2 text, I think, from Naked in English and tons of other languages. So good luck with that. Have a nice evening. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.